Hello and welcome to Overbooked Book Talks. My name is Kari. I'm here at the Mount Airy Branch Library, part of Carroll County Public Library. And with Overbooked Book Talks, I'd like to introduce you to some of my current favorite reads that I've been reading recently. Most of these are newer books, but we have them available here at CCPL, either in physical format for you to put on hold and check out, or in ebook format as well. You just check those out at www.library.carr.org. So this month I wanted to talk to you guys about this book here, Black Leopard, Red Wolf by Marlon James. This book came out last year. It's a little over a year old. It came out at the beginning of 2019. It's gotten many reviews, really great starred rave reviews. And it's really fascinating. It's actually a sci-fi, and we have it here in our sci-fi section, in our adult section. And it's the first time I've read any of Marlon James' writing, and it's definitely one of the few sci-fi books that I personally read, although there are so many great sci-fi books out there. This one has been kind of compared to some really epic sort of quest books, like Tolkien's books or George R. Martin's books. But Black Leopard, Red Wolf is really a unique fantasy. So it's actually book one in what is going to be the Dark Star trilogy. The setting is this mythical kind of alternate Africa. It's kind of reminiscent of the Middle Ages. But there's a lot of fantasy going on. There's a lot of world building. There are witches and wizards and giants and vampires and all sorts of mythical characters. You'll see it's a little bit longer, but it's not too long of a read. Just over 600 pages. At the beginning of the book and at some of the chapters, it will show you some maps that kind of explain parts of the story. But the way Marlon James weaves these stories together is just fascinating. It's kind of told from a narrator's perspective who is being questioned by an inquisitor about where a missing child is. So here's one of the maps at the beginning. And I'll read a little bit of the book to you, or a little bit of the inside flap of the book to you, so you get an idea of what Black Leopard, Red Wolf is about, and then we'll discuss it a little. Myth, fantasy, and history merge in this stunning novel following a mercenary and his search for a missing child. Tracker, known far and wide for his skills as a hunter, has a nose, people say. Hired to find a mysterious boy who has disappeared, Tracker breaks his own rule of always working alone when he finds himself part of a group assembled to search for the boy. The band is a hodgepodge, full of unusual characters with secrets of their own, including a shape-shifting man-animal known as the Leopard. As Tracker follows the boy's scent, he and the band are set upon creatures intent on destroying them. As he fights for survival, Tracker starts to wonder, who really is this boy? Why has he been missing for so long? Why do so many people want to keep the boy from being found? And perhaps most important of all, who is telling the truth and who is lying? Drawing from African history and mythology and his own rich imagination, Marlon James has written a saga of breathtaking adventure that's also ambitious and an ambitious, involving read. Defying categorization and full of unforgettable characters, Black Leopard, Red Wolf is both surprising and profound as it explores the fundamentals of truth, the limits of power, the excesses of ambition, and our need to understand them all. So that gives you like a really small snippet of this book. Like I said, it's told kind of in this oral history that is being told by the main character, Tracker, who's really referred to as the Red Wolf in this. So at the center of the story, we have the Black Leopard and Tracker, who's the Red Wolf. And he tells all of these stories, and you're not really sure where he's going with some of them or how they're interconnected until the end. It is kind of a darker fantasy. There's a lot of brutal violence in it, but it does have that kind of quest feeling of some really, really great classic fantasies, really. So as I mentioned, this came out and got tons of reviews, but if you haven't read the book, I certainly recommend that you do it. But it's a really great read to share with friends. It takes a little bit of time to get through because there is so much world building going on. And there is kind of this dark brutality to it. There are little snippets of humor in it. But I really got a lot out of reading some of the reviews afterwards too, because there's so many different takes on this book. And I just love that there's so much talk over this author's new trilogy, and that there'll be 2 more coming out. So like I mentioned, there are comparisons made to Lord of the Rings and to George R.R. Martin's writing. This NPR reviewer, Amal El Matar, wrote a really great review about this book. And he was saying that he understands where the comparisons have come from with Lord of the Rings and George R.R. Martin's books, and why people compare it to that. But he feels that those are wildly inaccurate to the experience of reading this book. So he says, the experience of reading this book is more like if Toni Morrison had written Ovid's Metamorphoses, painful and strange, full of bodies shifting from personhood into meat, and somehow always still upsettingly beautiful. This isn't Tolkien's grief-stricken melancholy, Kali, or Martin's calculating character-forward plot mechanics. It's horror and tragedy by way of fantasy. Nothing discrete, everything penetrating everything else. So I thought that was a really kind of beautiful description of the book. And it's one of those books that you definitely have to read. And once you read it, you have to read about it and share it and talk about it with other people who've read it. Because there's a lot of things that you just don't understand until the end. So it's also one of those books that you want to go back and kind of immediately reread some parts and try to see how the story was all woven together. But it's just a fantastic fantasy. There's so much world building, like I said. I feel like it's destined to be a new classic. I look forward to the next 2 books in this trilogy that come out, and I highly encourage you to read it. So if you want to, you can put it on hold, do an express pickup through CCPL, through our website. If you have any comments that you've already read it, or any questions, feel free to leave them here as well in the comments section. And I hope I see you again soon, and that you come back for next month's Overbooked Book Talks.